This is how much fluid was in both of my ankles. They were the size of my calves, all alone in a hotel room in Savannah, Georgia, 48 hours before a competition. And look at that, pitting edema. My finger pushed into my ankle, and that is not rebounding. The fluid is not dispersing. It was actually causing cardiac distress as well. My kidneys were backed up, and my heart was under stress, major duress, 48 hours before a show. Hi, this is John, and welcome back to my channel. What was that thumbnail picture all about? Wow. Let me share with you a little bit, okay? I've been a competitive bodybuilder for most of my adult life. And natural bodybuilding specifically has been my thing. I'm not a drug-using bodybuilder. I don't use diuretics, having competed. I'm now retired from competing. However, over the course of 35 years of competition, I did 17 competitions and had a good run. And I'm bringing this up. I took this footage of my own ankles at my last show. And this was a little bit of a wake-up call. And what do I mean by that? Competitive competition of any nature brings out the best in athletes, but it also will have you doing things that are extreme and in the name of winning, in the name of being the best that you can be. And at this one particular competition, so over the years what I'm admitting full on is that I've done some extreme things. And this, again, is without diuretics, without steroids, without growth hormones or insulin. You saw in that thumbnail picture, and now I'll also put up some video of the actual ankle and what happened. But my point here is I've done some extreme things. And when it comes to competition itself, for me, it was about doing whatever it took to be in the best shape possible within the realms of what I believe is natural. And I would alter my own body chemistry in certain ways. And one of the ways in which I would do it is before a competition at the very end, I would increase my fluid intake, my water intake. And this one show in particular, I found myself the last few days prior to the competition increasing my water, which was my standard practice. However, I was already taking in, it was a particularly hot time of year, and I was already taking in quite a bit of fluid in the first place, which I did not account for. So I made a mistake. And in upping my fluid intake to hopefully end up with a drier looking physique in the end at the show, in those few days prior, that was the goal. In doing that, I overshot the fluid. I took in too much. It backed up and my kidneys couldn't take it. My kidneys couldn't flush it out as fast as I was taking it in. As a result, I started retaining fluid everywhere, all within a matter of a day, 2 days. And by the time I got across the country, this was a show that was across the country, and I got off that airplane, my ankles felt and my feet felt very weird. And when I had gotten back to the hotel room and I checked myself out, sure enough, those ankles were severely swollen. I was smooth and full of water everywhere. It's called pitting edema. And not only that, but when I would lay flat on the bed or on the floor, it was challenging to the heart. So a little bit of distress going on there. People end up in the emergency room in situations such as that. And in my case, some might call it foolish. I decided not to go, and I did everything I could in the few days I had until the competition. And you'll see by the pictures that I'm showing you as well that I did get most of the water off by the end, and it was a natural pro show, and I did take 4th place at that event. Probably would have done better had I not made this mistake the week before the show. But even in natural bodybuilding, we run certain risks in the name of competition. And that's exactly what happened to me. And in the end, you cannot trust fully your own thinking because shoot, man, my physiology was messed up at that point in time between the severe water retention. My electrolytes were definitely off. And then those last few days, when I say doing whatever I could to get rid of the water, I'm talking about just stopping drinking and sweating as much as possible. Again, trying to keep my electrolytes in balance as best as I could. But you can only do so much without that visit to the emergency room. So I made it out okay. Some people don't. And that's the sad part about it. In the name of competition, we do these things. And so it's just a little bit of a warning about what can happen to any individual, even when you're thinking clearly, prior to a show. In my case, I just made a simple mistake, not realizing how much fluid I was already taking in at this one time of year, and how I was, urinating clear already. I didn't need to increase my fluid by 1 gallon or 2 gallons, however much I went up at that point in time. It was unnecessary. The cascade through my kidneys was already occurring. So this is sort of a common practice that a lot of athletes do before bodybuilding competitions, whether you're natural or not. And it can get dangerous. In my case, it did. It took a few days to clear out. It cost me a few placings, I believe, at that show. And it blows months of preparation. Again, that's after even 30-something years of competing. So you would think even I would be smarter than that. But again, I was being driven by the will to exceed and excel at competition. So bodybuilding, challenges with it, and what can happen and what can go south. I'm glad to be alive, and I'm glad to be 100% healthy and whole, standing here right in front of you today. So that's it. Just wanted to share that one with you. Some of the things that can go awry at a bodybuilding show or preparing for a bodybuilding show, even if it's natural. And that's it. From my heart to you, John Hart. Thank you very much. Remember to hit the subscribe button below and feel free to comment as well.